Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for attending today's webinar, which we're very excited to share with you. We're going to talk about Copilot in Microsoft Outlook. Now, the slide that I have up right now, I realize this is one we're going to have up on the end as well, but this is a welcome to Copilot in Microsoft PowerPoint that we're going to be running in December. I'll put that back up at the end and would love to have you check it out and maybe sign up. This is all good stuff. Copilot is such a big thing. There's so many different things that you can do with it and talk about. But we've got 30 minutes today, and we are going to talk about just Outlook. How can we use Copilot in Outlook? And really, how can it make my day better? How can it make my workflow better? And I also want to just show it off a little bit, get you excited. So some cool things to talk about. We do have a question panel, which we would love for you to interact with. Dan is here. He's available as a moderator. Others are available from virtual IT as well. And as part of offering this, we also just want you to feel supported. If you've got questions about things or if you want to talk about something else outside of the webinar, please let us know on the question panel, and we'd love that. But yeah, this is live. We're recording it, so you'll be able to check it out later, just like all the other webinars. But today, Copilot in Outlook. So we're going to talk about what can it do. It's artificial intelligence that's reaching out. In this context, when you have a license with Microsoft 365, it's going to look at everything that you have permission to inside your organization. So that means files, that means conversations, chats, emails, anything that you might search for, it can surface. That's really cool. Now, I'm going to show you some of the funny pitfalls through this, because Copilot is very smart. It's very connected, especially if the organization is set it up for success, because it is going to be looking at all your files. It's always a good time to see which ones are the most important. But sometimes you might need to prep for a meeting. It's going to look at all your meetings. It's going to look at who you work with the most and help streamline that. I'm also going to show you some cool things we can do with rules and things. Copilot can just speed things up and make sure that it's correct. And if it's not correct, because it's AI and it makes mistakes sometimes, you can easily edit and fix it. Pretty cool. So it enhances your productivity. The idea is streamlining. What we're going to do is go through a few of the different capabilities that are most noteworthy that Outlook can do. When it comes to email, Copilot can generate drafts for you. It can also modify them, and you can guide it to something that you want. You can make it shorter, longer. I'm going to show you all the different things you can do just by clicking around, navigating. Also summarizing. It'll extract key points from maybe a really long email, or if it's not a structured email at all, it's just a bunch of text, and somewhere in there is what you need. Copilot can actually go in, find it, and then list it for you. And you can ask it to summarize lots of different ways, even in tables or paragraphs, or even in a poem, which you'll see. So extracting those. So if you get emails that have it's a really long thread, like a really long string, sometimes you're scrolling down to try to find the key information. Or when they said in the previous email and you can't find it, Copilot can find it for you. And it saves you so much scrolling and time. I really think that alone, just searching your emails makes it worth it. It also has this cool feature, which is coaching. And what it does is it'll give you suggestions for tone, clarity, among other things that can help your email be the best. Because sometimes you just need a seed. A lot of times Copilot's going to do things for you that you probably would have done anyway, or maybe would have said, but it would take you a lot longer to get there. You don't have time. Copilot's a great tool for that. So drafting an email, summarizing content from files, attachments, or the body of the email, even meetings, and coaching. It's going to give you suggestions along the way, and it's just a button that's built in. Another one has to do with time management. In Outlook, a lot of times we need to schedule meetings. We need to get an agenda together. We need to just set ourselves up for it, prep. Copilot will summarize your upcoming meetings. So if you have, for example, one example I had was this meeting. I had it on my calendar. I asked Copilot, how do I best prepare for this meeting? And it told me, and I asked a few follow-up questions. Certainly I prepped way before, but it was kind of interesting to see 20 minutes before, what will it tell me? And then follow up. If you need a recap or You're thinking, I'm pretty sure I got an email from Lorraine, but I should probably follow up with her. Copilot will find that as well. So it's a great tool to make you look on top of things. Well, you'll stay on top of things with scheduling, preparation. So that could be for Teams meetings, in-person meetings, and then follow up. The recaps are big. I think the recaps are incredibly helpful, especially with the long emails. Also, there's like a general, you'll notice the Copilot app is also built in, and there's an interactive chat. So you can actually get help on like how to create a rule that makes every email from Dan blue. Some conditional formatting or something. Sure, you could spend the time clicking around, but when you can just type it in, it'll either do it for you, and then you can adjust it, or it'll teach you how. And that's really helpful. Also, automation. Part of that creating rules is part of the automation, but also you can have it reorganize. You can really deep dive and try out some of the things. It does matter, though, before we get into some of the demo. I want to talk about licensing. I briefly said what we're doing today is Microsoft 365, and it's the business license, the pro one, the one you pay for. Now, if somebody has a home license, as long as it's the pro one, that will work as well. Otherwise, it's going to be the Microsoft 365 version. You can do some stuff for free. For example, if you went to Bing, it's very well integrated there. But it also depends on which version of Outlook you're using. So I'm kind of showing both because there are some cooler features in the newer one. Now, when I say both, I mean the one that's installed on your computer. So we're going to jump right into some demo. And again, if you've got questions and things, please use that question panel. But right here on the left, I have Outlook, and this is the new Outlook. So some of you may have switched to that. Copilot behaves a little bit differently in there than it might in this previous version, which is still the Microsoft 365 version. If I click on File and go to Office Account, it'll tell me right here I have Microsoft 365 apps for Enterprise on this one. But this is my inbox, and I can interact with Copilot in here. I've got an example just from this email. With the new one, you can do more. You can do a little bit more. It also has a slightly different logo. So I'll show you what that looks like. The other option is if you're using the browser. If you're using Outlook on the web, I'm going to go here. Here's that same email. And what I've done previously is launch the Copilot part of it. And you can do a little bit more. As time goes on, this top panel, this navigation bar way up on the top right where your pictures and stuff and settings, there's a Copilot icon. Now this is the Copilot icon that we see right here for Edge, which you can log into because you'd be logged into the browser. This Copilot icon is for Outlook. So I've asked some questions in here just to show you some examples, and they're very, very helpful. Now, I don't seem to have this choice yet in the full version of Outlook. I think it's coming to the new one. The point, why am I showing you this? Look, there's 3 different versions. Everybody works differently. Some people only use the web one that I've talked to, and I was surprised by that, but some people do. And that actually has quite a few capabilities built in. Just click on that icon. We also have the Copilot icon on the side. There are apps now that we'll see. If you don't see it, you can click on the app launcher in any of these and actually find it. And that can be very helpful as well. You can add those by clicking Add Apps. Now, a lot of times it's just going to show up for you, though. I just want to show you around a little. So I'm going to go through very quickly, starting with the one that I bet a lot of people are using, which is the version that is not, quote-unquote, the new Outlook. And all of it carries through what I'll show you in this one, and will increase in kind of capabilities with some of the other versions. So let's check it out. Here I am in Outlook, and I'm going to focus on email first. I've got this email here from Alex, and we'll just take a quick look at it. I'll zoom in so we can see better. And this is all fictional, by the way. I hope you're doing well. We had a meeting with Sunwave Energy Solutions, and I've got some notes for you. They're a bit all over the place, so good luck making sense of them. So Alex just kind of wrote everything down. Here are some tasks, and good luck, best Alex. We don't have to panic. We don't say, oh man, why? On the top right, there's a summarize button. Now, this is seeing it in the preview. If I double click and it launches, like a floating window, it's going to be there as well. Sometimes people will see it on a drop down, but typically summarize. So check it out. This is like the quickest, easiest way to get started. Find an email, and it could be like an ad, or it could be a pitch email. It doesn't have to be from a person. This one is, though, and I thought it was kind of cool. So bunch of notes. Here's my summary. Alex Wilbur shared notes from the meeting discussing project timelines, budget concerns, integrating new technology. And it's got all the things. There's a bi-weekly update. There's some interest in this potential partnership. It lists a company name. This is pretty cool. And it does remind us AI generated content may be incorrect. I think it's good to have there as a little reminder, because you might want to just check on things. You can also hit the thumbs up to provide feedback if you'd like to. I usually don't. You can also do down. If it's really way off, maybe it would be worth it to do down. That's just as a community trying to improve this. There's also a copy button right here that copies the summary, and then I could paste it wherever I need to, in a notebook, in a Word doc, wherever I want. So if I hit it again, summarize, we're going to close it. It's going to keep it. What we can do, I'm just going to close that out. Apologize. I'm going to reply. With this reply, you'll notice now on the ribbon, there's a Copilot button. Right front and center, big blue Copilot. We have two choices this way. So the first thing we did, that first example, was getting an email, receiving an email, and having it be kind of a lot. We don't have time to read it. Click summarize. It gives you a quick rundown. Then I'm replying. So I hit reply. There's Copilot. I can draft my response, or I can use coaching, and it's going to give me suggestions so I can better write it. So if I do draft with Copilot, what do you want this email to say? Now, you can try different things. I'm going to say something like, please respond with a message that I will read these notes and reply tomorrow. Be sure to thank Alex for their time. And I'm going to hit generate. And this is kind of small, and it does not let me zoom it in, so I just want to mention that. But it does read, hi Alex, thank you so much for sending over the notes from the meeting. I appreciate you taking the time to gather all this information. This is a pretty nice email. I'll go through these notes thoroughly. Get back to you tomorrow with my thoughts and questions I might have. Thanks for your effort. Best regards, John. So I can keep this if I want to. There's a keep button. If I go in, I can't really type here. So if I wanted to make a change to it, I would have to do keep, and then I can always just delete it or copy over it. If I really don't want it, I can discard it. I could also say, well, that's close, but let's regenerate. It's going to do another draft. It's telling me, thanks for sharing the detailed notes. So it's not always right. They weren't that detailed. So you can regenerate several times and it will remember. So just for fun here, I'm going to do a third time. And look, I can go say, well, that one's all right, but the first one was actually the best. I can scroll back, which is great. Super easy. Scroll through that way. Maybe I want to adjust it. I'm going to click adjust and check these out. I can make it longer, shorter. I can make it sound more formal or direct or casual. And I can make it a poem. That's kind of a built-in one. But you can get pretty creative with your responses if you want to. Now, certainly you're going to need to know your audience, but it's kind of a fun way to play around with maybe your colleagues or something. Make it a poem. You could also, I'm going to show you one example that I did. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do it, but it did. It actually took the first letter of each sentence and had it spell out the word thanks. I wanted to really push Copilot. I'll show you that example in just a moment. But you can adjust it as much as you want, or you can just click here. Anything you'd like to change. I'm going to say, please include emojis to indicate a joke about the notes being messy. I'm going to send that off. And there we go. So thank you so much for sharing the notes. Appreciate the effort you put into this. Just kidding about the notes being messy, and then just a little laugh emoji. Thanks again. Talk soon. All right, cool. I can keep that if I want to. And it did it. I'm talking about it a lot and kind of showing this off, but it is very quick. If you just have like some sort of a seed in your mind, but you've got like email writer's block, this is perfect. Now I'm going to click send. And what that did was just send out that one that practice one. Now, another thing, let's see, I'm going to go to new email and just click here. I mentioned drafting. Now, that was drafting a reply. So I could also just start blank. And what do I want this email to say? Please, I always say please draft an email to send to my team on Monday morning that wishes them well and encourages teamwork. I pressed enter. It doesn't really do anything. You have to click generate. I think that was a habit. So there we go. Good morning, team. Hope this finds you well. Refreshed after the weekend. It's a lot. So maybe we would adjust it and say, make it sound more casual. There we go. Good morning, team. Hope you all had a great weekend as we kick off another week. Just wanted to wish everyone, all right. So we'll keep this one, but instead of fantastic start, I'm going to say an awesome start. So this is great, because if you do have a hard time kind of getting started with emails, it'll generate one for you, and then you can just send it off. If you don't like it, of course, you can just delete it and try again. That's the cool part about it. One of the cool parts. So that's drafting. Now, you can also do coaching. So check this out. To get coaching better, more well-crafted emails are helpful. Now, it's saying type in at least 100 characters. That's important. I tried both just to see, and it will not. It'll just say, well, we can't really do that. You've got to have at least 100 characters, and then we can help you. So I'm going to do a generic one. Let's say I've got the idea, and I just don't feel like writing. I'm going to say, hi, we need to meet. There are some things that I need to go over with the project. Thanks, John. Now, if we do that, I could do a retry, or it does offer us, would you want to draft it? Then we can coach. You can do that. You can build on these as well. So retry. It's not giving me anything, right? Because it's under the 100. So let's try this. We'll get a little bit more. So we need to meet. There's some things that we need to go over with the project. Do you have time? Anytime soon. We'll just keep it very, very simple. Retry. Now it's generating feedback. So that was like 80 something characters or so, and then it was just over 100. So it made a difference. So here we go. Tone, more formal language. So this is really bad. You wouldn't want to type a formal email this short. It doesn't give us much information, and Copilot has some ways that you can just make it better. So more formal language. This email is straightforward and to the point, but using more formal language can help convey professionalism. So it's suggesting maybe replace hi with hello or dear so-and-so. Okay, I'm going to say hello. Reader sentiment. Be appreciative. Okay, well, the email should express gratitude. Maybe thank you for your time. I appreciate your attention to this matter. Or add a sentence showing understanding of their busy schedule. All right, so I'm going to grab this and I'll add that. So I like that we can build on this. So we'll put that in. I appreciate your attention to this matter. And clarity. It does say that there's a need for a meeting, but specifying subject matter. So it says instead of this, try that. And actually that looks pretty good. Especially if you're in a rush or not a great mood, this can be really helpful. So let's say there are a few, I'm just going to paste that in. And then do you have any, that's not correct, anytime soon? We may want to say something slightly different. So let's try this. I'm going to hit X just to get out of there. And I'm going to just run it again. This one's actually pretty quick. Make it more professional. Instead of saying, we need to meet, I would like to schedule a meeting. Do you have any time soon? Maybe could you please let me know your availability at your earliest convenience. Cool. Again, I'm not going to go through all this, but I just wanted to show you how there's a little copy pasting, which is helpful for the coaching one. Sometimes you can just say insert or keep. This one is a coach, so that's why I'm just taking its direct suggestions, but it really gives you an opportunity to craft your own email a little bit better. You could also do some coaching on it and then draft it. And it's going to place it automatically in this field, and you can generate it, and then we can start doing more with it. So there we go. The keep, manually anything we'd like to change, discard, regenerate, and then of course it will keep track of your previous generations, and then adjust. So let's say I wanted to make it a poem. Let's see what it does. Hope this email finds you well. I have some points I need to tell. I sound like Robert Frost now. To talk about our project's timeline and meeting would be really fine. This is pretty funny. So then you can actually stylize it to anything you want just by typing it in. A style of poetry, or you could say, please make it more like a song. And I'm going to generate that. It didn't do much on this one, but it did some. Pretty cool. So it tries to make the cadence a little bit more lyrical, which I think is cool. That's one example, and it's just the built-in one. Of course, that's all for fun. You gotta know your audience. Also, nowhere in here does it say generated by Copilot, because Copilot is helping us draft, and it's coaching us and helping that way. So keep that in mind. Always good to just double check. Sometimes it's not right, but this is great. So from here, what I'm going to do is close that out. I'm not going to save my changes. And let me show you another example of summarize. So here I've got this email from Patty, and I thought I'd show translation and summary. Because if you get an email that's in Welsh, I don't know, maybe some of you know, I don't. I'm always fascinated by this language. But it could be Spanish, it could be Japanese, it doesn't matter. We have a built-in translation here. Translate, it does say never translate from Welsh, maybe if you know the language already. And then you can adjust some preferences. But that's a little bit different than what I'm talking about here. For the Copilot part, we have summarize. So if I summarize this, it's telling me, Patty has been coordinating the bi-weekly updates, ensuring all milestones are met on time. They've established a system, keeps everyone on track, reporting to Sunwave. All milestones have been met without delays. This is really helpful. Sunwave has been provided positive feedback. This is great. So what it did was it read the Welsh language in here and then did a summary for me in English. And if I want to just translate it, I can click a button and it'll do it for me. So there it is in English. And there are several different languages that it reaches out to. And it even uses update on scheduling fortnightly updates, bi-weekly. Pretty fancy. All right, so I'm going to close that out. And I want to show another example here where we go in the new Outlook. That's the web one. In the new Outlook, so this toggle would be on, and you would see the apps a little bit differently on the side. And it's got more of a minimal, kind of a rounded feel to it. So here's my one from Patty, and I have a summary by Copilot button right here. So if I click that, it's going to scan my email, and it gives me some information, which is really similar to the one we saw before. And of course, I can copy it and save that if I want to. Now, if I go down Alex's email, and this is all here. One thing that I read about that people may see soon is a reply using Copilot. Right now, I'm noticing when you highlight something, you get an Ask Copilot icon, even in your emails. So if I just select that and I right click and choose Ask Copilot, it will launch this side panel, which is the same thing as clicking that button up on the top right. So some people are right clickers, some people like to click a button. That's what this one does. You'll see that icon. So this is a new Outlook thing. We're not seeing it in the old Outlook. Some of you may have switched already, that little toggle, because there's a couple icons. All right, so let's click on that icon. And this, I'm going to expand it out as much as I can. And I'll look at the chat history. And I'm going to show you some of the things I did before to save us a little time. When you get that Copilot button, or you use Copilot on the side over on the left, here we go. I said create an inbox rule to categorize all emails from Dan as blue. And it says, done, I drafted a rule for you. Be sure to check the values before submitting. Let me show you what that looks like. I'm just going to paste that in. And it does this little gathering resources. And then it's going to launch the general, like the settings, which you could go to yourself. Click on the gear, go to mail, go to rules. But not only did it do that for me, it filled it in. So from Dan is blue, from him, blue category. And you can edit it. I can say, well, I'm going to just create a new category that's blue, and that's going to be the Dan category. When I get messages from him, they're going to be flagged and colored that way. That's awesome. We've got also, please help me prepare for my next meeting. It says your next meeting is this one. It gives me some information. And I said, well, what should I show them? Drafting emails, managing inbox, like rules and things. We can summarize email threads. We just click that summarize button. And if you want to ask Copilot to schedule a meeting for you, you can actually have it find what emails are relevant and pick a time according to those people. Now, you can do that just from clicking here on the Copilot button, and it gives me some great prompts up on the top. Things like what's the latest from, and it gives you, so I can say stay informed. What's the latest from? And I can just go here and I'm going to type in Dan, but I'm going to type a slash and then I can find his name. And I'm going to say regarding, oops, let's click in there. Regarding AI, organized by emails, chat, and files. This is a topic we talk about sometimes. So it brings up Dan, make sure it's the right person. It's going to look through the chats and documents and emails that we work with. And it gives me a list broken by emails, chats, files. And it gives me links to them. And it'll bring me right to the conversation, whether it's an email or a Teams chat.
Hey, John, we had one question that came in, and we're happy to stick around, but definitely want to respect everyone's time, but we're not going anywhere. So if there are any additional questions, feel free to stick around. We had a question come in about somebody not seeing the Copilot icon, and that's generally because you're not licensed. So it is available to 365 users, but it is an add-on license, and you can certainly engage or speak to virtual IT. They should have some information on pricing and how licensing would work.
I'm going to leave this up too, because there's some really cool things we can do in PowerPoint, which we're going to talk about soon. Today with Outlook, hopefully it created a little excitement or made you realize like, wow, I might be able to save a whole lot of time, or my emails will just sound better. Keep in mind, you can organize your inbox. You can have a search for anything. And as long as you're signed in and you've got the account, you are good to go.
That summarize feature is great on a threaded or a longer email that may even include multiple people. So I'll use that quite often.
Well, thanks everyone. We appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll see you at the next one.
Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, absolutely. You guys always bring out some great content, and we use the summarize feature quite a bit here. Actually, I'll be brought into a long email chain or something long after it's started, and so I'll use that to just kind of catch up on where everybody else is at. Yeah, a lot of great time saving options out there. Hope everybody found a couple of useful takeaways to help them streamline parts of their day. As John mentioned in the beginning, we do have our next webinar set, Copilot for PowerPoint. I believe that's December 4th. That QR code that we have up will take you to the registration page. We definitely encourage you guys to use that and get signed up early. But if you don't, we'll also be sending out some emails and mailers to make sure that people. And if you do have any questions about using Copilot for Outlook, definitely reach out to me. You can respond to that email, and I'd be happy to set some time aside with you and discuss. So with that, I'll let you guys get back to your day. Thank you all again for joining us, and we hope to see you for the next webinar, Copilot for PowerPoint.